With the NFL divisional weekend taking place, there were some surprise games. There were some games that were the continuation of a career, while some saw their careers come to an end. Want to find out what the results of the divisional weekend were and whose jobs were possibly finished and a few started. That and more on this edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style.
The autumn winds move like the thunderous waves of Neptune's sacred palace. And here, amongst the blackened soil, lies the ragged hands, worn, torn, and callous. They await with cunning and vicious prowess, for the warriors have returned.
Come on, Dirt! Don't do it! Woo! No way! Woo! 85! Crying out loud! You're making me, you're driving me nuts!
But behold,
Welcome back, Gabbers. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on this divisional edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Of course, you're gabbing with the one and only Mr. CeeLo. And you guys, I must tell you, I am ecstatic by some of the things that have been happening here on Gridiron Gab Pro Style. And probably the one that I am most satisfied with is the fanfare that is starting to get out there. Now, many of you are going to look at my subs and say, what do you have to be excited about? Guys, I am very much appreciative of the things that people say, and as well as you, the fans that come up to me. And so much so that I like to give you guys gab outs and even include you on my wonderful backdrop here. William, thank you so much for joining the show. So appreciative of you guys. And Yanira commented on one of my shows, the idea is outstanding. I enjoyed every second of it. Thank you, Yanira. I hope you're not trolling me. But it's hard to tell nowadays. You got people that troll you, and they're very good at it. Also, NFL Talk 101. Thank you so much for joining the show. I'm looking forward to you possibly asking me for a collab. So please feel free. Magica7648 said Bills have no chance in this game. Magica, you don't know how wrong you are. I hope you're subbed so you can hear what I have to say. Hale Matua Sako. I'm sorry. I hope I said that correctly. If I ravaged it, please forgive me. The production quality is very impressive. It deserves more views. Thank you, Halimatu. You guys help me with your names. I cannot say them. This is embarrassing. Craig said Bills Mafia, baby. Hey, listen, I was with y'all. Turnovers kill you. Bills will upset the Broncos, I believe, Dwayne. I hate to say it. It was right there, but Josh Allen, yeah. Josh Allen, yeah. But guys, thank you so much for subscribing and joining the Gridiron Gab Pro Style family. It means a lot. I'm trying to get some things done here, and just bear with me. And guys, if you're out there and you want to collab with Mr. CeeLo, all you got to do is get a hold of me at my Instagram, which is Mr. CeeLo. But let's get into it. The public service announcement is almost over, but we'll go into 2 shows, and then of course we'll hear a word from our sponsor. Let's get into the one that many of you commented on the reel that I did, naming the keys that the Buffalo Bills were going to have to do in order to win this game, and for the most part, they did not. Now, I will say this, they ran the ball effectively, but you cannot turn the football over. And Josh Allen, one of the biggest things coming out of Wyoming that people had against him was him turning the ball over. That notion is rearing its ugly head yet again. And guys, as you already know, It cost Sean McDermott his job. In my opinion, bad move. But I will talk about that on another show. As Josh Allen was 25 of 39, 283, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 3 sacks. But he had fumbles. I mean, when you turn over the ball 5 times. I mean, look, when you turn it over, 4 times, and as a team you turn it over 5 times, for you to even be in this game, pretty remarkable. And I'm going to say it just like this. You can't blame a coach for your Butterfingers. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, somehow, some way, you got to put some onus on the plate. And what are you going to do? You going to get rid of him? I mean, do you think firing the head coach is going to fix the problem? This has been a problem with Josh Allen since he was at Wyoming. Look, Josh Allen is who he is. What could Sean McDermott have done that would have changed the outcome of this game? That's what I want to know. Not to mention their defense interior has not been good. And I know everybody's going to say, well, Sean McDermott's a defensive coach. Yeah, but what has he had? You had to pay Josh Allen bukus of money to the point that you had to get rid of his major weapons. Stephon Diggs is the first weapon to walk in. Look, we can sit here and call this what it is, but he is winning more with less offensively. Now, they did pay James Cook because James Cook fits what they need to do. But here's the truth about what you've got in Buffalo. A guy like Brandon Cooks and Keon Coleman, who's a rookie. Okay? Ultimately, he does not have a number one. Are we going to call Khalil Shakir his number one? A 25-year-old third-year guy? I mean, look, Shakir's a good player, but let's keep it in perspective. Was he a number one on any other team? Keon Coleman, he hasn't looked good this year. Not yet. I mean, we're still waiting on this guy to become the guy that we thought he would be. 6'4", 215 pounds. Even Gabe Davis when he came back. Look, a lot of this has to do with usage. They got Curtis Samuel back. He caught 1 ball. I mean, Dawson Knox looks good. Dalton Kincaid, 6 catches, 83 yards, and a score. I say you basically get a bunch of tight ends and put them out there. Do I think Buffalo goes out and gets another big wide receiver? Sure. But the question is, what does Buffalo do about Joe Brady? I haven't heard anything, but I imagine he's going to be a casualty of the Sean McDermott release. So, getting into the ins and outs of this game, when you look at 5 turnovers, I was not overly impressed with what the Denver Broncos brought to the party in this game. I mean, to me, Buffalo did a pretty darn impressive job, being able to play with them. I mean, you look at the way this game went, 449 to 349. Now, generally, that number is going to be high when you turn the ball over. But when you turn the ball over 5 times, and you barely win. And then here's the scary part about this game, Bills Mafia. You gave up 70 yards to the Broncos on the ground. 70 yards. This is something that you guys struggle with. You guys remember, if you heard the reel, I said you guys needed to stop the run and not worry about everything else. If you could slow down the run, I had faith you could win this game. You could not win this game turning the ball over 5 times and not stop this run game. See, with so many guys on this Buffalo Bills team being hurt this year, and I will admit, the reality of it is you guys came out there and you played insatiably hard. I thought, needless to say, what was really impressive with Deion Walker, you had Daquan Jones coming out there, and you had so many different guys out there playing hard. And even Deion Walker, the big rookie out of Kentucky, I believe it is, getting that interception, That was overly impressive. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. When you sit and you watch how this defense was a liability for this Buffalo. I mean, I said at the beginning of the season, I thought Buffalo Bills' ceiling was hit because you guys were going to have to, you guys are going to have to play up to your standards. And needless to say, this defense was not, in my opinion, set to handle the type of pressure that was coming along with it. I didn't think you guys had the ability to come out there and play as well as you guys did. 70 yards holding this Denver offense, which is what they want to do. I thought it was massive. I thought it was absolutely massive. Now, granted, Ed Oliver didn't jump in the stat column like I thought he would, but you could see just his presence made a huge difference in this front, because you looked at guys like Joey Bosa, Shaq Thompson, and Arnell Savage, along with Deion Walker, Matt Milano, Daquan Jones, Greg Russo. These guys made it a point to stop the run game. They were not playing around in this game. They were not going to let the Denver Broncos just run, slap over them. And ironically enough, the Broncos only ran 68 plays to Buffalo 78. So you talk about a Buffalo defense that was up there in that mile-high air, and they were out there on the field 10 more plays, and the Bills had the ball 10 more minutes. So when you look at it, the big number that jumps out, of course, is the 5 turnovers. And you cannot afford to have that happen against a team that ultimately is already favored. And I was sitting here thinking that, the Broncos were going to win this game because of those turnovers. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't because I thought the turnovers were going to cost you. I thought ultimately it was going to be Denver's going to be able to run the football. Knicks was 26 of 46, 3 touchdowns, an interception for 279. Not ultimately impressive when you talk about the completion percentage. And then you even look at the numbers as far as the rushing numbers. You look at the rushing numbers, and it's like Bo Nix led this team in rush yards with 29. And then here's the thing. They only ran the ball for 22 times for 70 yards. They were up 20-10 at the half, and they still weren't running the ball like they were ahead. See, in my opinion, this was a game that very well could have gotten away from the Denver Broncos. Easily. Because you think about it from this standpoint. When it became a back and forth kind of game, and the Bills answered, and of course you get the tie game. I looked at it from the standpoint that when you go into overtime in a game that you arguably, and I'm going to be honest with you, you look at this game, you could argue as a Buffalo Bills fan that you gave this game away. You gave it away. I mean, you ultimately come out there and you throw, of course, the interception after the Broncos give you an interception, and you have the chance to not only steal momentum, but you have a chance to take the lead. And then, of course, when you do take the lead, and of course, then you go, to me, I know a lot of people are going to question why instead of kicking the field goal on 4th and 8 at the Denver 12, you kick the field goal instead of going for it. Now, a lot of people are going to say go for it. Me and my brother, we say the same thing. You've got 4:11 left. Why give them an opportunity, to beat you with, make it easier, and they're going to run the clock out, to beat you. Now, granted, we know that's not what happened, as the Broncos were able to go in on 8 plays, 73 yards, and with in 3 minutes, 16 seconds. And then, of course, the Buffalo Bills are left with 55 seconds, and then they drive 8 plays, 41 yards, and kick the game tying field goal with basically no time left on the clock. But you got to kind of look at it from the standpoint of, as an organization, What are you doing? That's all I'm asking. Because you think you're going to find somebody better than McDermott? Do you think Mike Tomlin's going to come coach at Buffalo? Are you going to go get Raheem Morris? Because, see, this is what bad organizations do. See, where's Baltimore going to go? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if McDermott went there. Would not surprise me. Because realistically, McDermott took you from a place of laughter. Because realistically, you was a nobody till he got there. Let's rewind the clock. We're in 2026. He just spent 9 years. When he got there before 2017, 2016, who was you? You was nobody. Nobody knew who Buffalo was. Y'all was a laughing stock. You keep talking about trying to get to a Super Bowl. Okay, well, who's going to put you there now? You talking about a guy who had this defense finally stopping the run. Something you ain't done all year. And then you just going to pick up and go, well, we'll get somebody else. Okay. And I'm saying this because Bills Mafia, you deserve better. I usually don't agree with a lot of Stephen A. Smith, but he's absolutely dead on with this one. You ain't a coach that cost them this game. You got to admit that Joe Superstar cost you this game. Both of them. Allen and Cook put the ball on the ground. And Allen did it 4 times. He put the ball in the other team's hand 4 times. As for Denver, Denver did everything but lose this thing. They did everything but lose this thing because ultimately, when it just seemed like every time they needed to make plays, they did. And the score box does not look pretty. They got a lot of help from the Buffalo Bills. And realistically, guys, like I've said many a times, y'all know how I do this. When you make plays like when you turn the ball over, it is just a prelude for disaster. That is all it is. You look at every turnover, you look at it. You got fumble, touchdown. Fumble, field goal. That's 10 points right there, you guys. Fumble, field goal. That's 13 points, you guys. Interception, you turn around and get the ball right back to them. They turn it. You turn it over after they turn it over. They punt it. And so basically, you got 16 points when you count the field goal and overtime. So basically, of the 33 points, they scored 16. Almost half of their points came off of Buffalo Bill turnovers. You ain't going to win like that. As I said, the Denver Broncos were not overwhelmingly impressive to me. They got it done. Bo Nix had a pretty good game, considering that they shut that down. I think Sean Payton did a great job adjusting. The Buffalo Bills were not going to allow them to hurt them that way, and they adjusted. But on some much more devastating news for the Denver Broncos, on the second to last play of the game, I think it was, it was either, I think it was the play where he did the kneel down. Bo Nix suffered a broken bone in his ankle. I think somebody stepped on him or something. I can't remember how it went. But either way, he was, this wasn't good. Right now, they've named Jarrett Stidham the starter in the AFC title game. So, like I said, not a Denver fan, but I hate to see the fact that this is not going to be good on good. Now, I know a lot of people may hold Jarrett Stidham in high regard. Well, guess what? If Jarrett Stidham was in such high regard, he'd have been starting. Bo Nix is the starter, and he is done for the season. You hate to see that for him. You hate to see that for the Denver Broncos and their fan base. I definitely hate to see it because I don't like seeing guys lose their leaders and their best players. This is ultimately where it's at the end of the season. You want the best players out there. That's the reason why they're in the playoffs. But Denver wins 33-30, and they will wait the winner of the next AFC divisional, which happens to be the New England Patriots, as they downed the Houston Texans 28-16, which is kind of a similar sentiment that I will replicate from the Buffalo Bills football game as CJ Stroud, and this is why home field is so freaking important. I felt so bad for Stroud and a lot of these receivers. I sat here and I listened to Cam Newton talk about his receivers and his help and lack thereof. Look, CJ Stroud's accuracy was off. He was about as inaccurate as I've seen him since his rookie season. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that it was extremely cold and it was snowing. So I hope this teaches not only the Houston Texans, but now in fairness, the injuries took a toll on Houston. You know, you come in and you expect Joe Mixon to be a starter, and unfortunately, he's not able to get on the roster. Maybe he'll be able to do that next season. But the running game looks so up and down this season, and it was indicative of what you saw in this game. And the offensive line's got to be fixed between, you know, injuries and just plain old not good enough. If the Texans get that offensive line fixed, they are going to be trouble. Just gonna say, if you're a Houston Texans fan, chin up, because you got a lot of good picks in this year's draft. CJ Stroud, 20 of 47, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and 2 of them were just bad throws. One of them was a bad decision, and I was like, CJ, you guys know what my allegiance is, and I love CJ Stroud. But this game here, and the running game wasn't much better, because when they're able to get that play action pass going, look, CJ Stroud loves to throw that thing down the field. And even in the bad weather, they were able to do some things, you know, in the weather. And when you look at where this team was trying to go, they were trying to stretch this, you know, this New England defense out, which I'm going to tell you something. If I don't see any issue with them beating, you know, Denver. I'm just going to be honest. Jarrett Stidham's going to have the guts to throw it down the field. I do know they've got some weapons that they can do it with, you know, but I don't know if he's going to do that. I mean, if they can stretch it down the field, they got a chance. Because New England's cover guys, I don't care what the names are with Gonzalez and the other guys that they got. I don't see anything. I don't. These guys are not scary. And you can quote me on that. If you don't like it, Patriots fans, hey, it is what it is. But Houston is a football team that's had a lot of pressure put on Drake May. And honestly, when you look at the way New England plays, they send a lot of bodies. And this is what's going to cause a lot of issues with Jarrett Stidham. And of course, Sean Payton is a master at setting these things up, so I think it's going to be a different thing. Now, let me shut up talking about the AFC title game and get back to this one. To me, this one was all about CJ Stroud, because when you look at the score of this game, 4 interceptions in this game, you guys, and you only lost this game by 12 points? Now, no, a lot of Patriots fans are going to be like, man, you just hating. It's the National Football League. Look, you got 4 interceptions and a fumble. So you basically had the repeat of the Denver-Buffalo game. You could argue if these two teams take care of the ball, they're playing for the AFC title. Ultimately, that's not the case. Turnovers count. Now, the Patriots also had 3 turnovers. You had 2 fumbles lost and an interception thrown. However, when you start looking at this team, the Patriots brought quite a bit of pressure, knowing that Stroud was having trouble seeing what was going on, primarily because Nico Collins did not play in this game. And realistically, what's got to happen with this Houston football team is that they're going to have to make some changes. Number one, they cannot play in cold weather. That's just not going to happen. I mean, you have to get a team like New England in your domain. You know, teams like New England as well as Denver, they want to play in their buildings in January. This is why. You have to change that narrative. And believe it or not, with the type of team Houston has, they can make it happen. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. The middle of the season absolutely killed Houston. Like a lot of teams out there, you realize just how important home field is when you start getting into the meat of the playoffs, and you realize that this ain't no joke. But Houston's going to be better, in my opinion, next season. Of course, they end up getting Tank Dell back next season. Yeah, he'll be at his top end game, and then of course you get Nico Collins hopefully back full power and able to continue to go and do what he does. Both of these guys will be 27. One turns 27 next month, a couple months, and then the other one turns 27 in the middle of the season. So you're going to have the core of your receiving core. And I'm going to be honest with you, Xavier Hutchinson was not good today. I'm just going to be honest. If this kid's deal is up, he probably won't be coming out because he had a lot of drops today. there was a couple that were behind him, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's unacceptable. Christian Kirk's a guy that I think they definitely need to bring back and let him work along the lines with Tank Dell and rotate him out of the slot at times and whatnot and make that work. I just think ultimately that's where they're going to have to go. Trent Brown ended up getting hurt in this game, and Titus Howard along with Blake Fisher did an okay job. Ariante Urshuri, the second rounder, did a pretty decent job in there. I think ultimately they're going to have to go back to the draft and get some of these guys filled up. I think Titus Howard is a liability. I think ultimately they're going to have to figure out a way to work Jarrett Patterson in there and see what they can get out of him. But realistically, as long as this defense comes back, they've got a lot of good stuff to look at. They've got a lot of promise in this future. They've just got to get that offensive line right. They get that offensive line back healthy, they'll be fine. They get these guys on this offensive line as well as their receiving core, they'll be just fine. But the Patriots are going to have to look, they were efficient. I'm not going to sit here and hate on them. Drake May, 16 of 27, 179, 3 touchdowns, but he was sacked 5 times. Now, I'm not sitting here going to tell you that the Denver Broncos bring crazy pressure, but they do. I thought Buffalo did a great job, but unfortunately, that's Josh Allen. Drake May is not necessarily Josh Allen. I think a lot of people need to get that through their head. He's not Josh Allen. But he does scramble well, but the problem is going to be ball security. If he gets to a place and he's running like he did Sunday and he doesn't protect the football, here comes the fumbles again. You cannot turn the ball over against Denver. But I guess Josh Allen and the Bills proved you can. 5 turnovers and you turn it over once and you still can't finish the deal. The running game was a pretty big factor as Ramondre Stevenson ran really hard on 16 carries to pick up 70 yards, which equates to 4.4 yards a carry. New England's numbers don't really jump out at you. They don't impress you. You look, Houston had more first downs, and third down efficiency certainly wasn't in New England's favor. 3 of 14 to 7 of 17 for the Texans. Both teams pretty evens. Texans run 72 plays, 64 for the Patriots. The total yards, Patriots actually had more. And like I said, the 4 interceptions, the 2 bad ones, and the 1 ill-advised one. And then, of course, the running game, which when you look at, they doubled what the Texans put out. So the Patriots did what they wanted to do. They ran the ball 32 times for 105, which was enough to put the game away. And the big number is the time of possession. You look at, there was 5-3 when it came to turnovers. Excuse me. When you look at the time of possession, which was Patriots had 5 minutes more. Ultimately, that's going to be a battle next Sunday. When you look at where this game's going to be played for number 1. And needless to say, if if the New England Patriots can't bring it any better than they brought it this week, I mean, I get it. Jarrett Stidham is the starter, but you're going to Denver. Now, I'm not talking about the cold conditions. Same kind of cold, but different type of atmosphere. You gonna be the hunted. Them Denver fans ain't gonna let you know. You ain't got a Josh Allen. You got Drake May. I'm gonna be honest with you. You better bring it better than that. So the AFC title game is set. We will have the Denver Broncos facing off against the New England Patriots. I will be doing these, giving you guys the laydown who Mr. CeeLo feels like is going to take this thing out. And then we will get started on major breakdowns and who does what and who needs to do what in order to win. And of course, I will be releasing reels. So you guys make sure you share those with your friends, or if you got enemies that are of the enemy, send it to them. I always like to read y'all's content and so on and so forth. But let us now go to the NFC side. But before we get into that, here's a word from Loma Vita. As just in case you didn't know, we have us a sponsor. Because we are the effing man. You know, the type of man who shows up. The man who gets it done. The one who doesn't need a filter, a hashtag, or permission. He's not just a man. He's the effing man. TF Man, the whipped tallow cream from LV, made from grass-fed beef tallow, squalene, and pure grit. No chemicals, no perfume, just hard-earned hydration for hands that build, lift, and live. LV, all natural skincare, rebuilt for real people. TF Man, because being the effing man means taking care of your own damn skin. And guys, when you try this TF Man, make sure you go over to the website. If you use the QR code and you go over, type in the code FRIENDS20 and you'll get 20% off your first purchase. Make sure you scan the QR code that's going to be up on the screen real quick. I'll put it up there for a second, and I'll even put the link down below so that you guys can go over there. There's some great people. They've got a great product. I use it when I get out the shower, and I use it right before I go to work. Because, guys, if you're going to smell great and look fantastic, you need your LV. Because guess what? It's not enough to be a man. You want to be the effing man. And guys, I must tell you, the NFC divisional turned out to be a combination of snooze and blues. Well, almost. But I will say this. The Rams and Bears did not disappoint. As they came out, and I'm going to be honest with you, they killed it. But before we do that, let us get to the swan song of the San Francisco 49ers, who just had some devastating news. But myself was not surprised about this because, needless to say, I knew when he signed with the 49ers, it was just a loaner. I knew it wasn't going to be long before he was back into coaching. And that guy would be Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, who was on a one-year lease, so to speak. But before he walked out the door, his defense gave up 41 points. Yeah. But not all is fair in those numbers, people, and I'll tell you why. Because needless to say, Robert Saleh's defense was absolutely ravaged with injuries. I mean, it's not even fair to make the kind of comparison that you would want to make. I mean, this guy lost his star pass rusher, Nick Bosa, and then Fred Warner. Was hoping he could make it back for this game, and he wasn't. He's arguably the best linebacker, pound for pound in the National Football League, and he is just such a major piece. And for him to get this team to 12-5 this season was absolutely remarkable. He being Mike Shanahan as well as Robert Saleh, but his presence is going to be missed. as he moves on to the Titans. And I'll describe why that was a bad decision. Anyway, this Seattle, and I called this, as my buddy Bruce, who does his own podcast, we discussed. I texted him the night he did his podcast, and I told him I thought this was going to be a blowout. And like many of y'all, you didn't see it. But when you look at the way Seattle is built, if you can't look at this team and see what makes this team special, and here's the thing. 19 to 15 first downs. And San Francisco ran 60 plays. Meanwhile, Seattle ran 52 for more total yards. And they scored 41 points. Now, granted, there was 3 turnovers in this game, and Seattle only won the time of possession battle by 31 to 28. So it was technically nearly a 2-minute draw when you think about it. But what makes this Seattle team so freaking dominant, man? And I was telling my buddy Bruce about this. This team plays defense like they play offense, you guys. Their whole idea is they want to get the ball back. They want to get the ball. Either get the ball for themselves or get the ball and give it back to their offense. I mean, look, they opened the game with the kickoff return for a touchdown. They came out there, they wasn't playing. And I'm going to be honest with you. Rashid Shaheed's coming back to Seattle. I mean, that there's no doubting that. And honestly, you can't give the organization enough credit for seeing this for what it was and going out and getting this guy from the Saints. Oh my goodness, this guy has been a game changer. He was the reason they got in this position, because of that Rams game. They were left for dead. They were down 17 points. This guy comes along. And then immediately on the next one, the 49ers feel like they have to go for it. 4th and 1 at the Seattle 40. So in my opinion, this was a huge decision that he made early on. Because then you end up with the field goal after, 11 plays, 44 yards. And, Mike McDonald is just like, hey, look, do we really want to do this? 4th and 4 at the Seattle 13. Let's try to knock him out early. He says, no. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Kick the field goal. And then, ironically speaking, what happens the very next you get? Julian Love gets a recovery off of a Tongues fumble. Now it's almost about to be, the route is about to be on. So what you end up getting is a deep pass to Shaheed for 23. And then, of course, Darnold hits JSN for the 4-yard touchdown. Basically from there, the route was on. A lot of people are going to say, oh, no, it wasn't. We scored in the second quarter. Okay. I mean, it was 24-6 at the half. I mean, we can say what we want, because ultimately you got the football and you made it 17-3. Then, of course, you stopped Seattle for 3 and out. And then, of course, you go 10 plays and you finally figured out maybe I should, get the points, because even if you get the points, guess what? It's 24-9 at the half, because Seattle goes 80 yards on 10 plays and finishes it with a Kenneth Walker touchdown from 7 yards out, and you're left with 31 seconds, and needless to say, not much time to work with. And then the very first drive out of the second half, you turn it over on downs, because you're down 24-6. Purdy gets sacked at your own 42. And basically you go for it on 4th and 2 at the Seattle 44, thinking that you're in no man's land. So you give them 3 more points. And then Purdy throws an interception 2 plays into the next drive. They go back, score a touchdown. And really, the route is really on. It's 34-6. Then you turn it over on downs yet again. Go down the field, another touchdown. Then you put the ball on the ground. And it was just not a game for... Yeah. And I can't say enough about Nick Emonrory. To me, there are some players, if you're in front of a certain team, or if you got an opportunity to snag somebody from somebody, you do that. There are 3 teams you do not allow to get certain players. And these three teams are Baltimore, Kansas City, and now Seattle. I remember when Seattle was on the clock. And I remember looking at it and saying, golly, Nick Eamon-Roy is still on the clock. Because you know what I'm thinking, Mike? McDaniels, he needs a Kyle Hamilton-ish type player. Guess what? He ain't Kyle Hamilton brand, but he got Kyle Hamilton gifts. Guess what he's doing? He's looking pretty daggum close to it as a rook. Y'all keep an eye out. I'm telling you something. Y'all better listen up. This guy's gonna be serious. Nick Eamon-Roy, the 6'4" freak. If you didn't watch the draft, you better be watching, because I'm gonna tell you, this guy does a lot of things. There ain't nothing to say about Seattle. They just, for a team that had 281 total yards, this is a team that, like I said, I told many of you this. Sam Darnold, all he has to do is take care of the football. That's all he got to do. He don't have to do nothing crazy. He just got to take care of the ball. I mean, you rush for 175 yards on 33 carries. Good luck, Rams. Kenneth Walker finished with 19 carries, 116 yards. That's refreshing news, considering that Zach Charbonnet, the other half, ended up, the news came out that he had a significant injury to his knee, and he will be out the remainder of the season and the playoffs. But he finished the game with 5 carries for 20 yards. Yeah, I mean, this is a huge blow, but it's not something they can't recoup from. They do have Velus Jones, but ultimately I think they're going to go with, you're going to end up seeing more of Kenneth Walker, because he did finish with 19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns. So it won't be a problem. I think Velus Jones is just going to be that back where he gets a breather and, be that guy that can, just, like I said, be his backup. And then he's going to be the one that carries them down the stretch run, because, between Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker doing the 2 platooning thing, these guys are, they're really good running backs in tandem together. You get one, and then you get the other one coming at you. Yeah, these guys, they do their job and they do it well. But Seattle goes on and will host on Sunday the NFC title game, whom will be coming to visit and face off against this powerhouse of a Seattle defense is the Los Angeles Rams. After just an absolute slugfest that ended in a, you can't, classic is such a passe word, but I honestly have to tell you that's exactly what it's going to be. It's a classic. There's no beating around the bush here. That's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a classic. You look at this game, 20-17 in a final in overtime in Chicago, 23-20 in first downs, 81-77 in total plays, 417 to 340. And probably the biggest discrepancy here is interceptions. The one thing that I criticized Caleb Williams about coming into the National Football League was his propensity to throw bad or risky interceptions. Now, I will say this. There was one that you could question, but then the one that he threw that was really critical in the overtime period, I get it. Some of the same things that you're going to love about Caleb Williams are some of the things that are going to drive you absolutely nuts. I ultimately think that you must get to a place where you really have to appreciate him and take the good with the bad. Now, a lot of Chicago fans are going to be PO'd, but you would like to have seen him not take that shot. But then it's just like the touchdown that he threw to Cole Kmet. The same things that drive you nuts about him are the very things that you love about him. But let's get down to it. The Bears had the ball almost 40 minutes to 32 and a half. So it's not like the Bears did a bad job hanging on to the football. I mean, they ran the ball for 160 yards on 39 carries, whereas they kind of kept the Rams in check running the ball. It wasn't a huge difference, but then you got to look at the fact that Stafford threw the ball 242 times. This is the thing that got me with Sean McVay. Generally, he's a little bit more calm, cool, and collected when it comes to the running game. I honestly thought, and this has happened over the last couple of weeks, you guys, he's really gotten a little bit overzealous at play calling the run. There's no reason why Matt Stafford should have thrown 42 balls and you only ran it 31. Because here's the thing. You gave it to Blake Corum only 6 times. Kyron Williams had 21 carries for 87 yards and 2 scores. I get it. The numbers don't look nearly as good, but here's the thing. 3.2 and 4.1. I think I'm running the ball a little bit more, McVay. Yeah, that was what got me. I get it. 3.6 as a whole. I think I'm running it more. Swift for Chicago had 19 carries, 76 yards. Not bad. Caleb Williams, 5 carries, 40 yards. I don't understand why that was not implemented more. When you got a guy like that, you have to do that more. DJ Moore was a guy that I thought was on his way out of Chicago. But once again, here he is. He's showing up and showing out. Colston Loveland was a guy that ended up with 4 catches, 56 yards. But I think if I remember right, they said he wasn't on the field for overtime. And I think that ending drive. So my question is, you finally decided to use Cole Kmet, a guy you drafted. And this is my problem, especially, and then it's not because I'm just a Notre Dame guy, but you take a guy who's 6'6", 257 pounds, and been a pretty good tight end. But see, this is the problem I have with so many people that say, oh, he's been a bust or he's not been performing. A lot of times it's about where the coaches view you. Because a guy that's 6'6", come on now. My thing is, you got 2 6'6" guys on there. And then your receivers ain't very big. Rome Odunze is your only big guy. And here's the issue. You guys run a lot of play action. There ain't no way this is not my formation on inside the 20-yard line. Getting one of these guys free in the open field. I'm doing that. But once again, you look at this Rams team and they're able to do the things with Matt Stafford, do just enough to get by. And you could argue there were some plays that were left on the field, interceptions and balls that got away, and both teams, and they just weren't able to get it done. But ultimately, it's one of these classics that you look at and say, well, the way you accept Caleb Williams' successes, you have to accept his failures. Even the quarterbacks. Stafford was 20 of 42. Williams 23 of 42. Stafford 258. Williams 257. The only difference is Stafford didn't throw a touchdown. He did not throw an interception. So he was pretty much even Steven. But he did get sacked 4 times. And now here's the thing that really impressed me with Chicago. The Rams live and die with pressure. They did not get any pressure on Caleb Williams. Well, I'm not saying they get pressure, but they did not get a single sack. You talking about they got 4 quarterback hits. Meanwhile, the Bears got 4 quarterback hits, and they knocked down 7 of Matt Stafford's passes. Now, on the other hand, the Rams knocked down 9 of Caleb Williams' passes. But the thing is, 3 of those turned into interceptions. And ultimately, when you look at this game, when you can not necessarily flip the field the way you want to, as opposed to having interceptions in drives, that's not a good thing. And see, the Bears, as much as people say DeAndre Swift this, DeAndre Swift that, I think ultimately they need to go and get Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love allows you to be able to throw Rome Odunze and many of these other guys open down the field. ultimately Ben Johnson's going to want a guy like Jeremiah Love. DeAndre Swift ain't going to be his first pick. DeAndre Swift is going to be that guy. Then the other guy that is going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs or the Sonic and Knuckles combo, that's who they're going to draft. So you're welcome, Bears fans. But guys, that is what's going to set up the NFC Championship game. It is going to be the divisional clash that left us breathless after the Rams went up 17 and were unable to shut out this Rams team. I think it was 17. May have been more than that. May have been 18. Might have been 18. But guys, let me know in the comments what you think about the 4 divisional matchups. What did I get wrong? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind it. Just don't troll me. You know, I'm not big on that. But let me know what you think of the divisional matchups. Who did I a player that stuck out for you that I did not mention? Was there any player that you thought should have not been mentioned and I overinflated what he did? Do you guys think that the teams that are no longer in the playoffs, are there any moves that they can make in the offseason that would definitely help them going into 2026? And finally, do you guys think the matchups for the NFC and AFC Championship are the best matchups? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you don't forget to thumbs up the show if you enjoyed the content. Make sure you subscribe as well as hit that bell notification so you can know every single time I have an episode dropping or a reel that drops. Make sure you jump on over to that Facebook page at Gridiron Gay Pro Style and check out all of the details and things we'll be doing and having for you on the off season. And finally, make sure you jump over on my Instagram if you want to hit me up for a collaboration or if you just want to say what's up and find out some things about me. Do that at Mr. CeeLo on Instagram. But until the next time, make sure you guys stay warm. Catch us on that same Gab channel, same Gab platform.
But behold, there is a warm breeze that comes from the west. The blazing sounds of victory fuel their everlasting quest. It is a call to arms, for they are here. An army that has the will to challenge and the will to dare.